Evening, everybody. What's up? My name is UltimatDJz, your friendly neighborhood cat person here with another episode of Teaching Trek here from the Talking Trek podcast, recorded every Wednesday and Sunday night. By the way, one of my guests tonight, Bubba Joe, heard you did a great job filling in for me as this cute and lovable kitty was traveling all across the great state of West Virginia and Virginia this past weekend. Appreciate you filling in. How was the show? Did you have a good time?
We had a good time. There was a lot of really good discussion on recruitment and recruiting options. So, obviously...
Scopley must have been listening to that one. We're going to touch on that today, but the first thing I want to talk about, what we're actually just going to generally focus on for the next 15 to 20 minutes, is some redonkulous improvement to gameplay. And when I say improvement to gameplay, I'm just talking about maybe sourcing or cost or expense. Just kind of a couple of things that happened over the last couple of days that probably, Gregor, deserve a little bit of praise, perhaps, by chance, maybe, kind of, sort of. All right, let's jump.
Shocking.
Right? It was,
shocking.
And it's not small. It's not small, folks. We're talking huge chunks. Let's jump right in the game very quickly. Actually, we're going to jump straight into STFC.space, where I have two different windows pulled up, guys. And what you can see on your left side of your window is the old version of STFC.space. And on the right side of your screen, the new version of STFC.space with new values for the G5 ship. So we're going to start with G5 here just for a second. Gregor, we're going to start with the Nova. You built one of these very early on, and we even did a video. We discussed the build cost. If you guys can see, we talked about, oh, good lordy, we talked about this right here. The cost in titanium at $646 billion, the cost of dilithium at $138 billion. A lot of people just, oof, that was tough to stomach from a lot of people, okay? A lot of people commented on that. But just days ago, did they not, Ripper? Just days ago, they came out to the G5 community and said, hey, you know, we may have possibly miscalculated what these things should actually cost. We're going to make a reduction across the board, all right? In build cost for the Nova and the G5 Uncommons. We're going to show those off to you here in just a second as well. Not only in titanium, but dilithium as well. Here are your brand new build values. Gregor, dropping from 646 billion titanium down to 72 billion, which still feels like a lot.
Well, it feels like a lot because you have no cost reduction research on builds. So that's a straight value that you're going to see in game.
But it's still overall, what, roughly an 86% drop in actual cost?
It's almost 100x in deal. I couldn't believe that they did that, but yeah, that's amazing.
138 billion deal down to 1.4 billion. And this was not just on build cost, all right? Let's take a look at some of these upgrades, all right? Let's just jump over here, tier 4 to tier 5, for example, okay? We'll make it the same on both screens. Now, the titanium cost did in fact stay the same, but they did also drop the dilithium cost in upgrade, Gregor, okay? So dilithium obviously being the focus of this early rebalance, titanium being reduced on the build, but for the components staying the same. But they, again, still dropped the cost of dilithium in a very significant way, just from going tier 4 to tier 5, 800 bill to 100 bill. And again, keep in mind, these now are base values because they are going to have research that affect these, but still a huge drop, dropping from 800 down to 100. Again, about an 88% reduction in actual cost. Bubba Joe, this seems to be very player focused and very kind of community oriented. It's kind of mind blowing at the same time.
No, I mean, this is completely unprecedented. I mean, it took almost 15 months before the G4 repair costs were lowered as their base value to make them really appealing to the players. Now that's repair costs, obviously, to build costs, but this is really unprecedented in Star Trek Fleet Command, and it's a really welcome improvement because realistically, I mean, the thought, that players have always had is, okay, well, if it's going to be expensive to repair or expensive to upgrade, it should be relatively easy to build, or one of those categories should be easier than the others. And this one felt like it was hurting you from all three angles. And it's really nice to see that they're making the build a little bit more accessible, still difficult to upgrade, and obviously still has a fairly high repair cost.
Yeah, and obviously as you get way higher up, I don't know that anybody's got a tier 10 Nova yet. I would imagine probably not. And still some just gag me cost here, but you can see the reduction across the board. Still 12 trillion. Tritanium, again, tritanium cost not changing, but dilithium, 2 trillion down to 327 billion. Of course, that's on a tier 10 Nova. Let's take a look at the G5 uncommon. Let's say the Romulan ship. The Corvus seems to be somewhat popular out in the galaxy these days. Let's take a look at these values and see if the pattern held true, Gregor. We take a look here at the build cost, okay? Where was build cost? Here we go. Build cost, absolutely. They did it, okay? 1.7 trillion tritanium, reduced down to 360, and 357 billion dilithium, reduced to 8.75 billion dilithium. This is for the G5 uncommon. Taking a look here at a couple of the upgrades. Let's just go through and see if the pattern holds true. We'll take a look at tier 4 to tier 5. And yes, in fact, tritanium staying the same, but dilithium being reduced across the board. Now, here's the big concern. What if you already built one or more of these ships? Right, Gregor? Because, well, you already built one. And daggone it, you've already spent the higher amount. What's Scopley going to do for you?
Hopefully give some back.
Well, indeed they are. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have already constructed a Nova or more than one Nova or constructed extra tiers or constructed G5 uncommons and did upgrades on those tiers, whatever you have done at the old base values, they are refunding players what they actually spent in the terms of the reductions that they made. So, for example, let's just pretend for a second, Gregor, that you, and again, these are base values, so you're not just going to subtract the two, but let's say that you went to a tier 5 on a Corvus and you spent 2.23 trillion at base, and they say, well, hey, we're going to reduce that to 279 billion. Obviously, again, taking into account your efficiencies, all right, whatever your net spend actually was, they're going to give it back. Now, this is a big calculation, everybody, so please don't expect this on a weekend. Don't expect this, in 24 hours. It's going to take several days to go through this. It is a small number of players, but it's an extremely complicated calculation because you've got different players with different research efficiencies and different spends, and each doing different things with their ships. But rest assured, Scopley says, within the next several days, all this tritanium and dilithium will be coming back into the community. And Gregor already told me, ching ching, that's research, right? That's extra.
That's a lot of research.
That's a lot of added value research. Congratulations, you built these ships. Now we're going to give you a rebate in the form of research, Bubba Joe.
I'm fine with that. I built it. I was fine with building it. So I'm totally fine with that. I think that was a good move.
Well, and it's definitely going to make G5 a little bit easier of a transition, which is crazy, right, Bubba? Because we keep talking about G4 to G5 and how it just feels better than the G3 to G4 expansion went. Like, you guys are actually having a good time up there. Gregor, you were mentioning beforehand, especially now with these reduced costs, and you were looking at a couple of buildings and things like that, and you were still praising the events. You said, listen, I could spend a couple $100 now, but honestly, within a week or two, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, like, there's a lot of grindable stuff up here in G5 land. You said, I can see progression, light at the end of the tunnel, as compared to 7 months for one component in G4 land, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, I probably had 20,000 multi-phasic credits, but that was just from the Nova build, right? But yeah, minus that, like, things feel very grindable. That's totally different from what it was like G3 to G4, or even any part of G4. Any part of G4, no part of G4 felt like that. Every part of G4 felt like pay to move up.
Well, there is a lot of crazy cool things happening in G5 land. As a matter of fact, coming up within the next, hopefully the next couple of days, we're going to have Gregor and Bubba back here for step 3 in our exploration of G5 territory, and we're going to break down super highways for you, all right? We're going to tell you what they are, how they work, and how you can unlock them. Right now, our advice to you, if you're watching this, our advice is just do the mining events right now. Keep collecting the raw intelligence. Here's your super sneak hint. Keep collecting the raw intelligence. Don't spend it yet. All right, just keep doing the events. Gather up the raw intelligence. Do not spend it just yet, and we're going to give you a roadmap to your super highways coming up here in the next couple of days. Now, Gregor, I'm going to switch over to your screen because there was something else that was introduced in G5 territory, which is kind of weird. And don't forget, I mean, don't lose hope, G3 and G4 players, because I've got something for you in this video as well. But last thing we touch on here in G5 territory, and I'm going to pop over to Gregor's screen, ladies and gentlemen, the introduction of a brand new pack. Now, this has some people kind of gagging a little bit, maybe throwing up in their throat just a little bit, Bubba Joe. But on the other hand, Scopley did actually mathematically approach this pack correctly, but clearly possibly an experiment here. Gregor, tell us what you see, what you and Bubba found earlier today.
Yeah, so we it looks like it's a 2x increase of your $100 pack value plus an additional 12%. Because I believe what we came out with, right, Bubba, was the additional 12%.
Correct.
And everything we could find except the titanium tokens, but I think that's a follow-up. But in general, all these packs, they increase them 2x plus an additional 12%.
Well,
So
but
you're
hang on a
getting
second.
12%.
It's a 2x plus 12%. But the bigger takeaway here is taking a look at the bottom of your screen. The bigger takeaway here is that the cost is 2x. Introducing Scopley's first ever Scopley's first ever $200 pack. Congratulations, G5 players. You're making history. All right. The first ever $200 pack inside Star Trek Fleet Command. But they didn't approach it stupidly. Right, Bubba? Like you say, it is a 2x value, but there's also a 12% premium on top. So they're adding value. This is one of those buy more, save more kind of things. They're offering you the value. They're even giving you a little bit of a bonus. We were looking at the multi-phasic credits a moment ago. They're giving you 300 extra multi-phasic credits over top of the 2x multi-phasic credits that you would buy. But is a $200 pack too much to bite off? Gregor? Oh, go ahead, Bubba. What do you got?
So it definitely, to me, I'd gotten so used to the $100 packs that Scopley offered, and that was really kind of pushing my limits a little bit, because it's like, if you think about, other things, it's like, okay, well, so this is just the standard for this game. 200 seems to just really puts me out of my comfort zone, even though there is additional value, even though there's obviously a benefit to doing so. It just feels uncomfortable going to that level. And so, I mean, I haven't bought it yet, but that doesn't mean I won't. If I had a need to buy 2 ship packs, I would buy this one instead, obviously. So that's the balance. But it definitely is not something I just hit okay on, because that level of spend is just a little outside of my personal comfort zone. Well,
that was going to be my question for you, Gregor. Do you feel that there are enough times where you would buy multiple ship packs at a certain setting to where this is another example of Scopley adding value or passing some savings? I mean, again, I don't know how Exola is working. And by the way, this is an Exola deal because this is only available in your web store or the PC version of the client. A little bit of digging and a little bit of research indicates that $100 is actually the maximum transaction limit for the Google Play and Apple iOS stores. So a $200 pack has never even been possible before. But now that we're processing all these transactions now kind of independently of those stores going through Exola, I guess the sky's the limit, Gregor. Do you figure that players out there will find a use for this pack, or is this something that happens so few and far between that, like Bubba says, people aren't going to spend $200 at a time?
I'll be honest, I hope they keep it around, because there's definitely times you're going to need multiple ship packs of something. It's without a doubt, right? I mean, Bubba's probably done this. I know I've done this. You need, 8,000 rare ship parts, and so you're clicking the $99.99 button many times, right? So, I mean, anything that's going to give you more value, 100%, like, keep it around. But I felt a little yucky about seeing the number too. Like, we've kind of been programmed at 99. And here's the weird part. If you look at this one, right, or any of these, the name and the graphic is the exact same as the $99 pack.
Be careful, everybody.
So,
don't accidentally
be very
spend.
Careful.
Don't accidentally spend. As a matter of fact, I have run into a small handful of players who say, I don't see this pack. I don't have it. Well, here's a couple of conditioners. One, you got to be Ops 50 plus. No, maybe it's 51. I honestly don't know. It's either 50 or 51. We'll let you know later. But it's also only available in the PC version of the client or in the Xolo web store, available at store.StarTrekFleetCommand.com. So be careful. Don't accidentally spend $200, although I would love to be in that position when I don't actually notice that it's a $200 charge instead of a $100. Anyway, there is the change, the upgrade to your packs there for those of you G5 players, and clearly probably an experimental type version of this just to see if players are going to bite on a $200 pack. Now, I want to bring you back over into my game. Here we go. G3 and G4. Well, and you know what? Even G5 players, another huge update this past week, and that is right here. Let me show you. This is some beautiful artwork right here. They sent this to me, and I'm like, you know what? I like it. That's a beautiful tile. Let's go with that. This is the new cover art, ladies and gentlemen, for the new Ultra Recruit chest. All right, let's pop it open here and take a look. See, there it is. There's the card. Ladies and gentlemen, 66 officers in the Ultra Recruit chest. Now, this is not the same for everybody. We totally get it, right, Gregor? Dilution is now probably at the forefront of everybody's mind. But it was not as much of a wild outcry on the Discords as I might have been prepared for. All right? Players are seeing this as a net positive. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabriel Lorca is now in the Ultra Recruit chest, okay? Michael Burnham is in the Ultra Recruit chest. The TOS officers are in the Ultra Recruit chest. As a matter of fact, Scopley comes out and says, listen, every epic and rare officer, bar a few, are now, that we've been able to earn in the last year or so, are now available in the Ultra Pack. That took what was previously 34 officers and has now made it 66 officers, but only for Ops 30 plus. So to solve the dilution problem, Gregor, for players who probably have fewer Ultra Recruit tokens, who don't have as many officers maxed, all right, 29 and down still have the old version. So that way you can still now maybe employ just a little bit of strategy. I mean, Bubba, if I was focused on getting some of my core officers, I might want to actually think about holding at 29 for a minute before the Ultras start to get diluted. On the other hand, if I am really wanting TOS Kirk, then I might go ahead and rush up to 30 so I can start earning some shards. And yes, it's going to be a slow go. Yes, it's going to be more diluted than it was before, Bubba. But they've taken a few steps to help out. First of all, they've increased the number of shards from 10 until 12. All right, so now you're getting 20% more shards every single time you do a pull. You're getting 12 shards every time you do a pull instead of 10, which is already a plus. But now all the officers that we've had an opportunity to earn are now in here, with a few exceptions. Right, Bubba Joe? Let's see if we can, just by glancing at this, what is an officer that's missing? And I'll tell you why.
Well, you know, the first one that just jumped out at me because they're all grouped together was Data.
Data is missing because his primary sourcing in the eyes of Scopley has an event, and that would be, Gregor, where is Data sourced currently inside the game?
ATA.
ATA. Even from Arc 1 of TNG, his entire purpose or his long-term plan was to be sourced in away team's assignment. So he's got an active event. So that's where Data stays. What about another one? Gregor, who's next?
Jayla.
Jayla, yes. You guys are going to love this, but she also has an active event-style sourcing, and it's in the leader drop box of Swarmatas, because I know that is a wildly popular mechanic inside the game. Don't you run? Don't you run a ton of Swarmatas all the time? I mean,
all day, every day.
I sure know I do. But that is how Jayla is sourced, and they're going to keep her in that event-style loop. How about another one, Bubba Joe?
Giorgio.
Giorgio. Okay, so you're skipping ahead. That's fine. We'll skip ahead. Giorgio is missing, not because she's sourced in an event. All right. But Giorgio is missing because she, ladies and gentlemen, has been added to transporter patterns along with TOS Spock. All right. Added to transporter patterns now for you to have an opportunity to redeem. And again, at the same cost as what the MUDs were introduced here not long ago, at a cost of $1,100 per shard. I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty okay with that, especially for an officer like Giorgio. TOS Spock also been introduced here. Same price, $1,100 a shard. He's got some good stats, probably useful for some things down the road. Maybe not necessarily on the bridge of your ship. Maybe not just today, but definitely has some long-term uses. All right, so we'll notice Spock missing here as well. Let's see if we can find one or two more that are missing from the Ultra Recruits.
How about Khan?
Khan, yep, easy. Swarm Sunday. All right. Sourcing on Khan doesn't seem to have really ever been a major problem. So he has an event-style sourcing. All right. Couple of others that are missing here. Let's just go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off. Harrison, because for some reason they still think he's worth $1 million. Harrison is still not in here, Bubba Joe. Not sure why, but there you have it. Harrison not in here. Tal is not here. Just because they've always been super, super scared of him. Tal is not here. And also, notably, I did find one that doesn't have sourcing and is not currently available in a bundle. And I'm going to also presume that they just value his socks. All right, just value his socks off. That would be Jean-Luc Picard. Jean-Luc Picard is not in this chest. But I will say this as we get ready to wrap up our video today. This is an overall amazing net positive, I feel, Bubba Joe, because at least officers who were never obtainable, like Lorca, are now finally obtainable. Like TOS Kirk. Like, let's come down here and take a look at TOS Uhura. These are fantastic officers that have never been available. How about Beverly Crusher, who was previously 100% paywalled, except for the event store? There are officers in here now that are available that have never been available before through traditional grind. And I think this is overall a net positive, despite the fact that you might have a little bit of increased dilution, Bubba. What do you think? Are you happy with this particular model?
I am happy. And let's not forget to point out that you do get 2 additional draws. They went from 10 draws to 12 draws in this chest to compensate for the additional dilution. It's not quite an equal compensation, but at least it is additional draws to try and get a few extra shards than what you were used to. So that is definitely an improvement. And I'm happy with this. Like, it's giving me access to officers that I didn't have any access to before, especially officers like Lorca. I'm actually excited to get more shards of Curon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, Curon's in here. I didn't even notice that. Look, Curon is here. A previously never before released officer before, an auction here not long ago, and then he showed up in the G4 Armada chest. So we got Curon in here. This is great. How about 2 of 10 showing up in here? All right, absolutely amazing. We got a couple of Borgies in here. This is great, all right? Now, I will remind you, for those who are a little bit put out by the dilution, I will remind you what we put in our announcement and what Scopley said themselves, that this is part 1 of a multi-step plan that will become apparent to players over the next several months. All right, so this is not it. This was step 1. There is more to come, and I ain't gonna lie, I've seen it, Gregor. I'm pretty happy about it. All right, now when it comes, I can't tell you. But over the next several weeks or months, we're going to see several different changes roll out to the way officer sourcing is being handled. It's long been a complaint, and I, for one, am super pleased to finally see some actual tangible action on it, and I like what I see, even in the coming months. I'm really, really happy about some of the stuff that's coming. So there is a change to officer sourcing, and I do believe overall a net positive, and just an increased, as Bubba said, an increased value. I mean, despite the fact that there's more officers, you're still getting more shards. So, hey, there you go. Officer sourcing and overall improvements within the game, not only for G5, but creeping all the way down to Ops 30 and above. Gregor, I'm really, really pleased with what I have seen from Scopley this week. Kind of been an amazing month, right? Just very strange art. Couple of hiccups here and there. Had the Ultra thing with the SMS and the Heart of Stan, but You guys,
with the Nova and the chest updates, it just seems like they're being way more agile than ever.
Very responsive.
Their release, yeah.
Very, very cool. Keeping our fingers crossed for this new version of Scopley moving forward. All right. Community, what do you think about the changes that have happened this week? Leave your comments in the section below the video. I would love to be able to answer your questions. Also, while you're here, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really like to be able to get you more of this information as time goes on. If you like the video, smash that thumbs up. Click on the little bell so you know about when we bring new content to you right away and timely. And, of course, share with your teammates. We really appreciate it. 5,000 subs. We hit it. We've got a big giveaway coming up here very, very soon as well. Stay tuned for that. My name is UltimatDJz, your friendly neighborhood cat person from Talking Trek, here with a teaching Trek video for you here today on the new and improved mechanics of officer sourcing and G5 territory. Lots of stuff still to come in videos coming up later in the week. We've got our story video coming. We've got super highways coming and brand new stuff from STFC.space. We're going to be telling you about that coming up here very, very soon as well. My name is UltimatDJz. Love you, mean it. See you on the next one. Meow for now. See ya. Bye.